Hello, everyone, and welcome to the J Rob Show. I'm your host, J Rob. Now, today we're going to be speaking with TV and film producer, actor, author, preacher, motivational speaker, and the list goes on and on. Basically, he's your jack of all trades, master of all, DeVon Franklin. We're going to be speaking to DeVon today about what it was like growing up as a child in Oakland, California, and his relationship with God, about his brand new movie out on Netflix right now, Ruth and Boaz, which is an amazing love story, about his upcoming film called Soul on Fire, due out in theaters on October 10th by Sony Pictures Entertainment, and about being a newly happy married man. All that and more. So stay tuned to the J Rob Show.
Want to send out a special hello tonight to a certain young man who's laid up in the hospital. His name is John O'Leary. He's a tough little guy.
Boy, you listen to me. You will walk again.
And welcome back to the J Rob Show. I am so happy and fortunate to be joined by the man himself, the one and only DeVon Franklin. Welcome to the show, DeVon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
It's my pleasure because you are doing so much in your career right now, and I am super excited about your brand new movie out on Netflix right now, Ruth and Boaz. It's an amazing love story, and I can't wait for everyone to see it. So now you were born in Oakland, California, is that correct?
Yes. Yep. Oakland, California. You
Okay.
know,
How was it like being born and raised in Oakland, California?
it was great. Oakland is a city with a rich history,
Mhm.
and and that you feel that, when you go. And so I loved it. It allowed me to grow up in a very grounded way, which I
Mhm.
think really has contributed to my success.
Unfortunately, your father passed away when you were young, but what your mom did was so cool. Like, I read that she created this coalition of strong women to help raise you and your brothers. And I know that coalition consisted of like your grandmother and your aunts. So how was this strong coalition of women able to raise you to be the strong black man that you are today?
Just through love, and through care and through instruction and through consideration, right? Like really considering me and my brothers and what we needed, and working with my mom to be able to provide it, and always being there to talk with us, and if we needed someone to talk with, they would be there. I mean, it was just they just surrounded us in such a phenomenal way, and really gave us what we needed to move on, from my father's death and make it through, the trauma related to that. And they just, showered us with love, and made sure we knew we were cared for.
How did you find that as a young boy that you wanted to have that close relationship with God and also later in life to preach his word?
Yeah, I think the relationship with God came because my mother, kept us in church. We were in church all the time. I mean, there was never a moment that we weren't in church in terms of weekends. I would believe what I was hearing. I would believe in what I was hearing in terms of the sermons and God and Jesus, and, God's love, and what it means to be a follower of Christ. And so as a young kid, that messaging really stuck with me.
Hmm.
It really, really, I just believed, and I think gave me an anchor, to deal with, what I was dealing with in terms of my father's passing. And yeah, it just was a strong foundation for me. And as a kid, I just was, I got baptized when I was like, 12 years old or something like
Hmm.
that. Started directing the choir at
Right.
church when I was, the same age.
Hmm.
And then get my first sermon at 15. And church culture was something I actually loved. I loved going to church. I loved being at church. And when we were going to church, shoot, man, we would get to church
Right.
9 o'clock in the morning, and we wouldn't leave
Wow.
until like 7, 8 o'clock at night,
All day affair.
all day. It was the
Right.
morning service. It was, fellowship dinner. It was the afternoon service. It was the social afterward. I just loved it. If we didn't go to church, I would have been upset.
Right.
Like
Right.
that's how much I loved it.
What point after that did you realize that, the TV and film industry was something that you wanted to get into?
I'd have to go back maybe seventh, eighth grade.
Okay.
Where I just was like, wow, I love entertainment, and then as I was watching movies, I was like, wow, I really want to do that one day.
Hmm.
And then I would look on the movie posters and identify who produced which movies. And I was so curious about how to make movies and entertainment. So it had to start around there, like 13, 14
13,
years
14.
old. And then I
Wow.
went to LA when I was 18 years old
Okay.
and majored in business and minored in film at the University of Southern California.
Hmm.
And in that same year, I got an internship for the company that managed Will Smith. And so that was
Great.
really, and then, technically I was still a teenager,
Right.
but that's what got my foot in the door. And I've
Hmm.
just, parlayed that one opportunity, as many times to get to this moment.
I did want to ask you, obviously, being a man of God and also having that strong interest in the TV and film industry, did any of your family or friends or anyone for that matter, did they ever tell you, hey, DeVon, listen, you can't choose both. It's either going to be God or the TV and film industry. Did anyone ever tell you or maybe suggested or recommend you had to choose one over the other?
It wasn't framed in that way
Okay.
necessarily. It
Okay.
was mostly framed in, Hollywood is the devil's playground. Hollywood, you're never going to be able to keep your faith.
Yeah.
And Hollywood is Sodom and Gomorrah. I just didn't believe that. And also I was curious enough to go try. Well,
Yeah.
okay, I understood what people were saying. I understood their concerns. And
Right.
I also understood that I needed to go figure out what God wanted me to do. I needed to go find God for myself.
Hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
even though I heard that, I was like, nah, let me go see.
Yeah.
And I did see, I saw that God was very much in the plan. Those that didn't understand it then, they understand it now. A lot of times people will discourage you in the areas that they're discouraged. If somebody's not chasing their dream, they can't help you chase yours, or they will discourage you from yours.
Right.
So for me, it was, I didn't get upset by what people said, but
Right.
I also felt like, well, I have to retain the right for my life to go figure out what I'm supposed to do. And at that time, I think I'm supposed to go to Hollywood. So let me see.
Yes.
And, you know,
That's a beautiful thing, and I've been following your career for so long, Devon. You're a man of God. You preach His word. You're doing so amazing in this TV and film industry, and I'm super excited for Ruth and Boaz out right now on
yes.
Netflix.
This is crazy. You barely even know me.
Well, maybe I know all I need to.
Your love is always kind.
Girl, watch your back. I can't risk you getting hurt.
Love is all that matters, Ruth.
But I am so grateful.
It's an amazing film. Why don't you tell, our viewers all about Ruth and Boaz and what it's all about?
Ruth and Boaz is basically it's a biblical love. It's a story, a love story from the Bible,
Right.
and so I did a modern version of this love story. That is just. I mean, I think it's going to be people's new favorite film. It's about a young woman, Ruth, who is kind of going down the wrong path in life. She's in a music group, and it's not really aligning with her values, and so she makes a decision that she's going to leave the group. And then that decision ends up being a catalyst
Mhm.
for major change in her life. And she ultimately finds herself picking grapes out in the country in Pegram, Tennessee.
Mm.
And we come to find out that that vineyard is owned by a man named Bo Azra, and we
Mm.
call him
Okay.
Boaz for short
Right.
in the film. And then they begin their courtship. But the problem is Ruth still has to deal with her past.
Yeah.
And so she has to make a decision on how she's going to deal with her past. So this movie is really about that journey. It's about that journey, from where Ruth was to where she felt she needed to be. And then along the way, she meets the love of her life, the man of her dreams. They have a very, very great courtship, so to speak.
What was it about, Tyler and Soraya that you knew that they were definitely your Ruth and Boaz?
They just had the heart, they had the warmth, they had the toughness, they had the sensitivity, they had they just embodied, Tyler Lepley embodies the strength of Boaz,
Yeah.
a man who is strong physically and mentally and emotionally. He used to be a Marine
Yeah.
and used to work on Wall Street, and his father turned over to him the family business of owning the vineyard. So he's very disciplined. And and that was pretty important to find someone who could play that, and Tyler Lepley does a great job playing that. And then Soraya, she's a singer, and she, at the same time has been through, three different foster families by the time she was 15. I mean, been through a lot.
Mm.
And so I wanted to find someone that had been through who could play that the character's been through a lot, but still retain the optimism and the hope that one day things were gonna get better. And Soraya just, man, played that
Yes.
phenomenally.
Yes.
And not to mention Felicia Rashad in the film,
Oh,
who's America's mother, and Jermaine Dupri, Babyface, Young Jock, just a great, all-star cast to bring this movie up to life.
why do you say that Ruth and Boaz will be everyone's favorite new love story?
Because it's unique. It's fresh, it's different, it's contemporary. It's like you've never seen anything like it. And so as a result, you watch the film and you don't know where the film is going, and you're invested and you understand Ruth, you understand Boaz, you understand their connection. You're able to root for them to come together.
Yes.
And then also the emotion along the way, the music along the way, the production value, the locations. I mean, it's just one of those films that I think is just going to be people's favorite film because it's just so, the way we took the time to put it together the right way, I think really will contribute directly to the success of the film.
We all know finding love in 2025 is extremely difficult. It really, really is. And so many of us is going through hard times trying to find our right person. And so many of us is going through such heartache. And you went through your personal heartache in the past, and you've actually addressed that. Obviously, you got a divorce from Megan Good, and you addressed this. You spoke about this in Be True, which was an amazing Broadway play. And so many of us is going through the same thing that you went through. So, how did you personally heal from your heartache? And what advice would you give all of us going through the same thing to heal ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, part of the process of healing, one, therapy and journaling and
Yeah.
writing and reading the word, praying, life coaching.
Mhm.
And the other part is to put that experience into something. So being able to work on this film and being able to create, Ruth and Boaz and work with our writers and our director and, just put the movie together. It was part of my healing process because both Ruth and Naomi go through something very tragic at the beginning of the movie. And they have to deal with it and they have to process it and they have to live with the feelings and the sentiment and the grief and all the things, but still not allow that to destroy them. And so I would just, encourage anyone going through something that, yes, you're going through it, acknowledge it, feel it. It's
Mhm.
okay. And trust whatever you're going through is necessary for where you're going to.
Got it.
Whatever
Yes.
you're going through is necessary for where you're going to. And when you're in the midst of it, it doesn't seem that way, but I can tell you, certainly it will. It is that way. And when you go through difficult moments and go through heartbreak, you gotta give yourself grace and space. You just have to give yourself the grace that, what, you're gonna heal.
Yeah.
Might be hurting, you're gonna heal. And then you got to give yourself the space, the time to
Mhm.
not push yourself
Right.
further and faster than you're ready. And we all go through things. We all go through heartbreak. We all go through heartache. And I can tell you, anybody listening, they'll get through it. You'll get through it. You got to feel your way through. Be patient with yourself. Be easy with yourself. And trust and know that if you stay committed to the process of healing, you will get healed.
Amen to that. Amen to that. We watch a lot of these love movies and we're like, oh, well, that's just in the movies. That's not going to ever really happen.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah.
Ruth and Boaz, it seems so real and so genuine to all of us. We're like, yeah, I can see that happening. There is love out there and we can still find it. We have to put the work in.
That's right. Put in the work, keep the faith, and let God do the rest.
Congratulations are in order for you, DeVon, because
Thank you.
you found your real life Ruth, but her name isn't Ruth. It is Maria.
Yes.
Your beautiful wife, Maria. Congratulations to both
Thank
of you,
you.
DeVon. I'm seriously so happy for you. How did you know, DeVon, that Maria was the one for you?
I don't know. I just knew. I mean, it's a hard thing to say. I just had a knowing. The moment we met, I was like, "Oh God, this is." I feel it. And then when we did our first date the following week, and I was like, "Okay, this is it. So it's like I knew before I knew,
Mhm.
and I just was okay with that, and I just leaned into it. And then the more that I leaned into it, and we started to build our relationship, the more confirmation that I got along the way about her being the right fit for me. So it was just a feeling at first, and then the feeling got supported by the facts of who she is and the type of person and the way she, loves and cares for me. So, that's how, I mean, to be honest. Hey man, it's it's the wedding day, my wedding day. I'm here at the Castellago Estate in Beverly Hills, and I'm nervous. I'm like, wow, I get a chance to marry the love of my life, Maria Jose Castillo, soon to be Maria Jose Castillo Franklin. And, weddings are events that just make you think about love, life, how you want to spend your life, how you want to be in love. And I'm so grateful to be here and get a chance to marry, truly my best friend, someone that I feel like God just made for me and me for her.
Your wedding day was phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
People magazine covered it. The photos were amazing. You guys look so great together. What's your fondest memory of that special day?
The vows were amazing. The vows were the thing. I mean, what she said to me, what I said to her, just so powerful. And so, just touched my heart. And so that was my favorite moment of us coming together. Everything else was great and had a wonderful time, but that's the moment that will always stick out to me.
A new project coming out October 10th.
Yeah, it's called Soul on Fire. I'm acting in that film.
That's right. You're acting in that film. Why don't you tell our viewers about Soul on Fire and what it's all about?
Yeah, Soul on Fire is the true story of a motivational speaker named John O'Leary. And the thing that makes him unique is that when he was 9 years old, he had an accident and he was burned 100% of his body.
Do you like to dance, Beth?
No, but I will.
Who is that guy? John O'Leary. He's kind of a legend around here.
I play the nurse that was instrumental in his rehabilitation and getting him to walk again and getting his confidence back. Because he was able to walk again, he then was able to go on and have, a life. He still bears the scars of the accident, but that helped him become who he is. And so as a motivational speaker, he has to still deal with his scars to help other people heal from theirs. It's a beautiful film. It's a powerful film. Sony Pictures Entertainment is releasing it in theaters on October 10th all around the nation. And I'm truly honored and blessed to be a part of this dynamic crew and to tell this amazing true story.
What was it specifically about Nurse Roy's character that drew you to want to play him? And then why was it so important for you personally to want to help tell this story?
He just was like a modern day angel, his desire to care for John when he was young and to get him up and do the things that he did. That's not a common thing, that's just not. And also when you're a burn victim, it's excruciating to move, excruciating. And so for the Nurse Roy to, make the commitment that he was going to make sure that this kid had a fighting chance at life.
Yeah.
And as a result, he knew that he had to put him through pain just to get him up to walk him. He said he'd rather him go through that pain than the pain of never being able to walk again.
Yeah.
The pain of never being able to be who you could have been if we pushed through this pain of the accident. When I read that script, I was like, this is what I want to do this part. It was such a love letter to anyone in the medical field. And he's just, Nurse Roy is truly like a modern day angel in terms of how he helps John become who he becomes. And yeah, John O'Leary did an actual video for me before he sent the script and a video to convince me to do it. And I read it and I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. And I'm so grateful. I'm honored to be a part of this film. A film, again, another family film you can watch with the entire family.
Yes.
You can take them to the theater and you don't have to close eyes. You don't have to close ears.
Right.
It's a blessing to be able to be in this kind of movie with this level of inspiration and hope.
And I don't think nurses get as much credit
No.
as they deserve,
They
right?
don't.
You always talk about the doctors and the surgeons who's obviously saving lives as well, but obviously nurses, they are doing such an amazing job and they save lives as well. And Nurse Roy's character showed that, and all the help that the character put into him was just amazing. So I think nurses need to get more credit, or is equally as the same credit as doctors and teachers as well, because they're a
Agreed.
little underdeserved, I believe.
Totally agree. 1000%.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I am so happy for everything that you are doing in your career. Much success to you, DeVon. You know,
Thank
we have Ruth and Boaz out right now on Netflix.
you.
Everybody make sure you can go and see it because, like DeVon says, it's going to be America's new favorite love story in 2025 and beyond, right? And of course, we have Soul on Fire out October 10th, Sony Pictures Entertainment. Everybody go out and check out DeVon hard at work, whether he's producing or acting, he's doing it all. There you go. Now, where can everybody follow you, DeVon, on social media?
At DeVon Franklin on Instagram and X and Threads and all the things, and then on TikTok, and then you can find me at DeVon Franklin official on Facebook.
And is there anything else you want to let our viewers know that we should be on the lookout coming up in the future?
I got a film I just produced with Kelly Rowland and Method Man called Relationship Goals, and that'll be out next year through Amazon and Amazon MGM. So I'm very excited for people to see that.
All right. And we got to continue watching you on Divorced Sisters as well.
Yes,
That-
the second 8 episodes, the second half of season 1 will be coming back on the beginning of the year. So, and first quarter of next year. So stay tuned. It's coming.
Tell my friend Kadeen I said hello.
I will. I certainly will.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much to you and the best of
Thank
luck
you.
in your future career endeavors. And we'll be watching you.
Okay, my brother. Thanks so much.